Forgiveness has the ability to change people. It releases them from the bonds of bitterness and hatred. It promotes peace and healing by extending beyond one's own hurts. Accepting forgiveness illuminates the great strength encapsulated in the act of letting go and empowers both the forgiver and the forgiven. It also forges a road towards compassion and progress. Let's listen to what other people are saying about the power of forgiveness. Forgiveness doesn't make the other person right, it makes you free. Stormy O. Martion. Forgiveness is God's way. Holding on to the offense is not His way. Angie Wagler. I have discovered that most people who tell me that they cannot forgive a person who wronged them are handicapped by a mistaken understanding of what forgiving is. Louis B. Sneedies. Forgiveness is unlocking the door to set someone free and realizing you were the prisoner. Max Lucado. Forgiveness is the key that unlocks the door of resentment and the handcuffs of hatred. Corey Ten Boom. The weak can never forgive. Forgiveness is the attribute of the strong. Mahatma Gandhi. Not to forgive is to be imprisoned by the past, by old grievances that do not permit life to proceed with new business. Lance Morrow. To begin loving people today, we must close the door on the past. And that cannot happen without forgiveness. Rick Warren. When you are offended at any man's fault, turn to yourself and study your own failings. Then you will forget your anger. Epictetus. Life appears to me too short to be spent in nursing animosity, or registering wrongs. Charlotte Bronte. Those who cannot forgive others break the bridge over which they themselves must pass. Confucius. Strength of character means the ability to overcome resentment against others, to hide hurt feelings, and to forgive quickly. Lawrence G. Lovasic. We must develop and maintain the capacity to forgive. He who is devoid of the power to forgive is devoid of the power to love. Martin Luther King, Jr. I firmly believe a great many prayers are not answered because we are not willing to forgive someone. Dwight L. Moody. Forgiveness is primarily for our own sake so that we no longer carry the burden of resentment. But to forgive does not mean we will allow injustice again. Jack Cornfield. Forgiveness is choosing to love. It is the first skill of self-giving love. Mahatma Gandhi. True forgiveness is a self-healing process that starts with you and gradually extends to everyone else. Robert Holden. Forgiveness is for yourself because it frees you. It lets you out of that prison you put yourself in. Louise Hay. When you forgive, you in no way change the past, but you sure do change the future. Bernard Meltzer. By far the strongest poison to the human spirit is the inability to forgive oneself or another person. Forgiveness is no longer an option but a necessity for healing. Caroline Mice. Tear out arrogance and seed humility. Exchange love for hate, thereby making the present comfortable and the future promising. Maya Angelou. There's no point in burying a hatchet if you're going to put up a marker on the site. Sidney J. Harris. Forgive all who have offended you, not for them, but for yourself. Harriet Nelson. Forgiveness is not about forgetting. It is about letting go of another person's throat. William P. Young. Forgiveness must be immediate, whether or not a person asks for it. Trust must be rebuilt over time. Trust requires a track record. Rick Warren. When you forgive, you must cancel the debt. Do not spend your life paying and collecting debts. Joyce Meyer. Without forgiveness, life is governed by an endless cycle of resentment and retaliation. Roberto Asagiel. Ask God to show you more about this gift of forgiveness so that you can walk in the freedom and victory He has for you today. Joel Osteen. Our capacity to make peace with another person and with the world depends very much on our capacity to make peace with ourselves. Nhat Hanh. Forgiveness is God's invention for coming to terms with a world in which people are unfair to each other and hurt each other deeply. He began by forgiving as. And He invites us all to forgive each other. Louis B. Smedes. Two persons cannot long be friends if they cannot forgive each other's little failings. Jean de la Bruyere. Jesus understands our weaknesses and sins, and He forgives us if we allow ourselves to be forgiven. Pope Francis. Being at peace, we will now have peace to give to others, and this is the most permanent and valuable gift we can possibly give. Gerald Jempoyski. Forgiveness is a sign that the person who has wronged you means more to you than the wrong they have dealt. Ben Greenhay. Forgiveness unleashes joy. It brings peace. It washes the slate clean. It sets all the highest values of love in motion. George MacDonald. People can be more forgiving than you can imagine. But you have to forgive yourself. Let go of what's bitter and move on. Bill Cosby. If somebody is rude and inconsiderate, you can almost be certain that they have some unresolved issues inside, or some heartache they are trying to cope with or overcome. Joel Osteen. Whatever our religion, we know that if we want to love, we must first learn to forgive before anything else. Mother Teresa. To forgive is the highest, most beautiful form of love. In return, you will receive untold peace and happiness. Robert Mueller. If you wish to travel far and fast, travel light. Take off all your envy, jealousies, unforgiveness, selfishness, and fears. Cesare Pavese. Forgiveness is an act of the will, and the will can function regardless of the temperature of the heart. Corrie ten Boom. Let us forgive each other, only then will we live in peace. Leo Tolstoy. It seems that most people need to experience a great deal of suffering before they will relinquish resistance and accept before they will forgive. Eckhart Tolle. Mistakes are always forgivable if one dares to admit them. Bruce Lee. Only the brave know how to forgive, a coward never forgave, it is not in his nature. Lawrence Stern. It's one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself, to forgive. Forgive everybody. Maya Angelou. Everything is just as it needs to be. And if we would forgive, our minds and hearts would open and we could see another possibility. Iyanla Van Zandt. We are all full of weakness and errors, let us mutually pardon each other our follies, it is the first law of nature. Voltaire. When you hold resentment toward another, you are bound to that person or condition by an emotional link that is stronger than steel. Forgiveness is the only way to dissolve that link and get free. Catherine Ponder. Never forget the 3 powerful resources you always have available to you: love, prayer, and forgiveness. H. Jackson Brown, Jr.